Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new YouTube video. This is going to be the beginning of potentially many guides about how to play PvP in World of Warcraft. Unless these videos get less views than everyone else doing this, we will no longer make them. But if you like what you see, leave a comment, like, say something positive, and link it around to everyone you know, and subscribe to the video. We're here right now. You might be asking the question, how do I start PvPing in World of Warcraft retail? The best game ever made. Well, that's a great question because I am here to answer it. Who else other than me? My name is Pikaboo. I have played Rogue professionally for 20 years. I've pretty much won BlizzCon a couple different times. Guys, this video, in the first series of videos we're gonna make, this is a very noob-friendly video, and I'm ideally looking for someone who is just starting to play the game for the first time ever. If you're wondering, why do you need to listen to me? Let me show you. In-game, Tyrannical Gladiator TM Pikaboo. I have an accolade. I have a collection of items that are deemed extremely rare and valuable that are achieved from being the highest rated player in the world for the last 20 years. Cataglad Mount, Corrupted Glad, Cosmic Glad, Crimson Glad, Cruel Glad, Demonic Glad, Dominant Glad, Draconic Glad, Dread Glad, Fearless Glad, Ferocious Glad, Fierce Glad, Grievous Glad, Malevolent Glad, Torious Glad, Obsidian Glad, Prideful Glad, Primal Glad, Simple Glad, Sinister Glad, Tyrannical Glad, Unchained Glad, Verdant Glad, Vindictive Glad, Warmongering Glad, Wild Glad. That's just my Glad mounts. I'm not talking about the rank 1 titles. I can go through here too. Corrupted Gladiator, Cosmic Gladiator, Crimson Gladiator. Just on this character alone. So if you don't know what Glad titles are or rank 1 titles, try to look at any other guides. You won't see that many. I'll tell you that much. So, but basically, I've been pretty high rated in this game for a long time. So if you want to start PvPing in this game, you are going to need to download some add-ons. You know what add-ons are. I'm assuming you play the game and you're at least level 80. So I'm looking at you. You have to at least be able to log in the game and get to level 80. And the add-ons that we need, the most important add-ons that we need to play PvP, you don't need that many. Well, once you get better at the game and higher rated, you might need some more. But as you can tell, not many add-ons on the screen, right? So the first one we're going to talk about, well, actually, before we get into the add-ons, we're going to talk about how to download the add-ons. So this is what you need to do. You need to open up Google. Go to Google and show yourself Googling CurseForge. Boom, we're Googling CurseForge. Then we download, we get the CurseForge app. This is the easiest way to download add-ons. Basically, you click this, you download it just how you downloaded anything else in your life, and then boom, we're looking at CurseForge right now. So basically what this is something that is going to allow you to install add-ons to the game easier without having to extract it to your C drive and all this other stuff. So you need to get CurseForge. Once you download CurseForge, all you got to do to download the add-on is you just type it in. OmniBar. Boom. So you got it right here. You just click download. Mine's already downloaded, so you just update it. So yeah, basically you got CurseForge. You want to search the add-on up and download the add-on. You know how to install an add-on. You get it, all right? A simple list of add-ons that we are going to need is we're going to need either something called Gladius, Gladius X, or S Arena. And this is going to give you arena frames in the game. So one of the first add-ons, we're talking about add-ons that you need to have to start playing PvP, is you need arena frames. So this is either Gladius, Gladius X, or S Arena. I like Gladius. This is what it looks like. It's the best. As you can tell, it works. And refer back to the Glad mounts, the rank 1s, the accolades, AWC medals, just if we need to ever go back to that. So the reason why you need arena frames is because it's easy to tell who you are fighting, what classes they're playing, and the most important thing that these frames show is if an enemy player has their trinket, which allows them to get out of CC. So you know if you crowd control them, it's going to sit full duration, or if people are more at risk of dying because they don't have the trinket. But the most important part is this stuff right here, these numbers. This is showing the diminishing return on crowd control. And that's gonna be one of the most important factors in winning arena. So you're able, like if you're a rogue player, for example, my kidney shot is a 6-second stun on a 30-second cooldown, right? That's if it's a full duration stun. If it's half duration, it's going to be 3 seconds. If it's a quarter, it's going to be a quarter of 6 seconds, which is really short, really small. No one likes that. Basically, you need this to track DRs, so you'll see what abilities are going to be able to land and be fully useful. So this, you just need to get an arena frame like this. We'll break it down more of kind of what CC is, how all that works in later videos, but you need to get this add-on and get used to looking at this. You need this. Every single player uses it. Unplayable without it. But then we need OmniBar. We're going to OmniBar. OmniBar is the second most important add-on I think we will need. First is Arena Frames. Second, we go to OmniBar. So do OmniBar. What this does is this is something that tracks enemy players' cooldowns in the arena. Now, we'll probably go more in depth on this as time goes on, and once you start watching this series of videos, you gain hundreds and hundreds, potentially thousands of rating, and I will guide you along the way of how you can start to utilize this more to help you in the game. But the simplest way to start by using OmniBar, as we can tell if we test, this is showing us a bunch of different cooldowns that are active in the game. I'll have a link to my OmniBar setup in the description below. You could try to set this up yourself, but it is a very confusing thing to understand because you'd have to know the spells of each class that you're looking for. A quick overview of what it is something simple as if you're playing a caster, you would want to be tracking enemy classes' interrupts, because that's something good to know, because if someone doesn't have a kick, that means you don't have to spend time free casting or faking or wasting valuable time in the arena. So if you don't want to use my OmniBar and you want to try to mess with it yourself, all you would do is you type /OmniBar. That's how you open the add-on in-game. /OmniBar. That's how you open it. It loads up, and then basically you can check every single class and see the abilities that every class has. So something simple. You're tracking interrupts. You would look at Death Knight. The Death Knight kick is called... Okay, I'm not tracking the Death... Oh, no, I am tracking the Death Knight kick. No, I have my... Oh, I've got it. I've got it set up for you. Okay, here it is. I've got a simple OmniBar for people right here. So I'll link a profile too. So this is, I have a 2 separate bar thing with OmniBar. Doesn't make sense. But we're tracking kicks. So if you want to set it up yourself, Death Knight, you scroll down through to the Mind Freeze. That's a Death Knight kick. The Demon Hunter kick is called Disrupt, right? Druid, they have a couple different kinds of kicks. So you just track all the interrupts to keep it simple to start. But as you become a better player, you'll start to track more useful cooldowns like rogue stuns and warrior stuns and important CCs and defensive cooldowns. Don't need to worry about all that. You don't even need it to play. This is just something that helps mainly for the interrupts. So we'll start with that and we'll get more in depth as time goes on. So we want to download OmniBar and we want to track interrupts. But if you're a melee player, it's not that useful to know what the kicks are. So you don't really even need to worry about that. So I wouldn't even say you need it to start playing a melee. So that's the next one. So we got Arena Frames, OmniBar. The next one is Details. If you're playing WoW, you probably already have something like this, but this is a good way to just track how much damage you're doing, how much healing output is going on. It's an easy way to place blame on people who are doing worse than you. So ideally, always aim to be top of the ladder, whether you're doing damage or healing. And once you kind of look and analyze, this is just kind of a cool thing to see of how much damage you're doing and how many times you're getting abilities off. Actually reading details. There's actually a skill level to that too, instead of just looking at the numbers and the DPS. Maybe we'll talk about that more as time goes on, but you can actually do a lot with this add-on, but I recommend getting this because it's nice to see if you're doing a lot of damage or healing. So that's another one. So right there, we've got 3 add-ons for PvP. The last one that you can maybe use is called Big Debuffs. I don't personally use Big Debuffs. Everyone in Twitch chat says you need Big Debuffs. Then again, you see my titles, you see the rank 1s, you don't see the Big Debuffs. You see Twitch chat, and they're talking about Big Debuffs. So I'm not sure about that. We could use Big Debuffs, but basically what Big Debuffs does is that's a great question if you're wondering what it does, because I don't know what it does either. So guys, I'm not sold on it. Maybe we'll come back to it later, but Big Debuffs, I'm on the fence on it, and I'm on the fence where you don't need Big Debuffs. So you need those things. You need the Arena Frames, you need the Details, and you need the cooldown tracker for interrupts. Start off with that. Boom. Next thing, you can have your UI set up any way you want. Everyone just thought I should put this in. I can give you a link to my UI. I tried to make my UI look like the default game from all these years ago. And then people also wanted to mention about keybinding. If you're someone who clicks your spells, where you're clicking on the action bar to try to press your abilities, that is something you don't want to do. Whether you're playing PvP or PvE, it is infinitely slower. And one of the biggest reasons why it's not good to do that is because you can't hit very many buttons at the same time if you're clicking. And one thing is you need to be looking at what's going on the screen in front of you, especially in PvP and in PvE. Otherwise, you'll just die to things. But if you're looking where you're clicking, your eyes cannot actually be looking up here. So you're missing all of the information in the game, and it's infinitely less effective, and it's also easy to misclick, and it's just not very effective. So you want to make sure you learn how to keybind. Also, another setting you have to enable is if you go to your It'll come back. Okay, so it came back. So yeah, in options, our key bindings, go to action bars. Make sure you enable extra action bars. Otherwise, your action bars are going to look pretty empty. So make sure you have some action bars. But the way you want to start key binding in this game, and then to also adjust your key binds, you go into options and key bindings, and then it basically does it by each action bar. So you have to kind of figure it out. But you need to stop clicking. If you want to start playing this game and progressing in any sense of it, you need to keybind. The best way to learn how to start keybinding is you start by keybinding maybe 1, 2, or 3 buttons at a time. Maybe your most used abilities, like for a rogue, maybe it's mutilate or like a fan of knives, right? And then, or like if you're playing sub, it's like a shadow strike and an eviscerate. Whatever your most used spells are, start with that. Learn those 3 buttons. Once you're comfortable, you want to add on 3 more buttons. And then eventually, if you keep doing that process and repeat it and practice it, you will have every single button keybinded, and you don't have to look at your action bars, except for cooldowns. So that's a very big deal. That's one of the best ways to get better as a player is start keybinding. Another thing that can help you learn is if you have to look at your keyboard to type, that's not going to help because you don't know the keyboard. You need to memorize your keyboard by maybe doing practice typing tests. Talking to women on the internet is a good way to get your reps in. I do that all the time, right? Texting, sending DMs, right? Easy way to just learn the keyboard and start typing where you don't have to look down to type. That will also help you keybind because you know where your hands are and what's going on. We've got pretty much everything. It's almost time to start playing. But this is the most important thing. I cannot stress it enough. This will make or break you if you want to start PvPing. And this is what you need to do. The most important thing, the biggest mistake I see all new players make and lower rated players, it is by far the biggest mistake. It's more important than clicking. It's more important than add-ons. It's more important than anything else. And it's gearing your character. It's understanding what stats you need to play with, what your talents need to be, and what your enchants and gems and everything needs to look like. And there is an easy solution for this. The easiest possible solution I have ever seen in my life. And I'm gonna pull it up right here. It's a website called murloc.io. This website, you just type this in. This website allows you to go to the left side. You can pick any class in the game, any spec in the game, right? So we're playing Assassin. We're on an Assassin. We go Rogue, we go Assassination. You can look at the highest rated players in the game in both PvP and in PvE. And you can actually see every piece of gear they have on and every talent they use. So let's look at that #1 rated 3s player in the world. It looks like right here, TM Pikaboo. That's what I see. So boom, we see it. We scroll through. This is kind of how it works. So you scroll down, you kind of see what stats they're stacking. This number is partially misleading because of like different eye levels and the stats, and it's kind of weird with the scaling right now. But the main stuff you can look at is the talents. So like I can just copy, boom, TM Pikaboo's talents. Right, you can see everything they have right here in the left side and then also on the right side. So it copies both. So you just copy that, and then here's how you copy a talent tree. Just copy the talents, boom, go back into the game, open up your talent tree, and then you import this text code. And then we name this talent build, the Pikaboo, right? Because that's my, name it the Pikaboo if you want. Import it, boom, I already have it because I already copied the best player, so I know what's going on. And then we'll go back to this. So you want to copy the talents. The reason why you need to do this is because a lot of people make the mistake of trying to think for themselves. And you should not do that in video games, especially because you don't know what's going on. And when you try to innovate and create your own build, all you're doing is shooting yourself in the foot. Because a simple test of this is go into any chat, any Twitch chat, any forum, and ask someone to link you a talent build. No one is going to link you the same build because they don't know what they're talking about. Just go copy the highest rated player. We take the talents and then we scroll through. We see that even the new hero talents right here, it copies that as well. We can see the PvP talents, which, we could probably talk more about these as time goes on, but it's good to get a good baseline of these talents right here. And then you can also see, this is the next most important part, we get the right talents, the right PvP talents, but the gear. You can see every piece of gear the person has equipped. While the stats might look weird, like the actual numeric value, you need to copy whatever they're doing. Just assume it's right. You can maybe start to think about it and try to theory craft why they're doing this, but just do it. Because the gear is more important than anything else in this game. Every time I'm playing with new players, they have all the wrong stats. They have no enchants. They have no gems, and they're doing like less than it's like 100% less damage. I would say it's unbelievable. So you copy every piece of gear that you see. Copy all the stats. You can look at every individual piece, and then down here when you scroll down, you can actually see the specific enchants they use as well. So you need to get enchants, you need to have the right stat priority by copying the gear and get the right talents. That's it. That's the baseline, is you start with those few add-ons, get your UI set up, get keybinded, and copy someone who knows what they're doing, because you don't know what you're doing. And it works for every single class and spec. Any class, any spec. You can check 3v3, 2v2, or solo. And then if one person is doing something, you can actually compare it to like 3 or 4 people. Just open all their profiles at the same time and just kind of see what the general consensus is with their gear and stat priority. But if you're copying anyone that's on the top of anything they're doing, you're going to be better off 100% of the time than someone who tried to do it themselves. So that's what you want to do. Same way. That's how you use the website. Just another quick thing. If you're trying to get into PvP, you need to be buying PvP gear, because it has this special thing on the bottom where it says it increases its eye level in arenas and battlegrounds. So PvP gear, when it says that, will always be better than PvE gear. The vendor in the new city is right here in Dornogle, right here down on the left side. You just walk in here, check out the honor vendor, and boom, you just buy the gear. And ideally, you farm honor through battlegrounds, skirmishes, 2v2s, brawl, blitz, 3v3. It's all coming out. You can also buy, if you don't want to farm the honor gear, you can go to the auction house and buy Algari gear, A-L-G-A-R-I, which is 613 eye level, which is not as good as the honor gear, but it's a lot better than any PvE gear you could get. Oh, but one more thing on gearing. You need to have the trinkets. The PvP trinkets are extremely important because they have a set bonus that increases your main stat by 12% and your overall stamina. So a good baseline setup for virtually every single class in the game is buying a medallion trinket, even if you buy the Algari, and then a insignia. Simple setup. You need the trinket to break yourself out of CC and crowd control. If you're trying to win the game, you got a trinket. If you're trying to not die, you got a trinket. So you need to have this in PvP. It's a good baseline. There's also random exceptions if you're certain races and that. We'll talk about that later. Good setup. Get a trinket set bonus. Get one of these and get one of these, and you're ready to start playing the game. Simple as that. And if you can play the game 6 to 8 hours every single day, 20 years straight, you can be just like me. Or if you start tuning into the stream every single day, since I'm live on Twitch 7 days a week, and you sub to the channel and watch ad-free, I will speed up your process of getting involved, getting good, and progressing in this game faster than anything else. So stay tuned for more videos in this series. We're live every single day. Leave a like. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Let me know if you like this or if it sucked. And if it sucked, let me know if it did too, and we'll stop making the videos. But we might actually break down how to start playing this game, and the game might have millions upon billions of players by the end of it. So thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for the next guide.